Hey guys, let's get more news about Steelers, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Patriots legend Julian Edelman takes major shot at Mike Tomlin, Steelers for all the merit that Mike Tomlin has received having never coached the Pittsburgh Steelers to a losing season since he took over the headset in 2007. Only one Super Bowl has come from it, and the Steel City is getting restless with the ongoing methods. Tomlin is known for doing more with less, but that strategy hasn't won a playoff game since 2016. Read more. Patrick Mahomes' father takes massive shot at Bills following AFC Championship loss. The Steelers lost their final 4 games of the regular season and were bounced in the wild card round for the 4th time in 5 years. Now, Tomlin, who was a Coach of the Year candidate earlier in the season, is being questioned by fans for his philosophies of management along with New England Patriots legend Julian Edelman. Edelman criticized Tomlin and the Steelers' defensive strategies for their failure to adapt, despite ongoing struggles. He highlighted how the Steelers' defense is stuck in outdated systems that have proven ineffective for years. "You knew exactly what they were doing," Edelman said when speaking about the Steelers' defense on his podcast Tuesday. "And they still do what they did. They still do the same gods as when I was playing Mike Tomlin's defense. I'm like, we still have linebackers covering the 3 slot. Every time we play Steelers, I have at least 9 catches. You would think that they would change it, but no, they do what they do." Former Patriots defensive coordinator Matt Patricia was on the podcast with Edelman, agreeing that while the Steelers are well coached and their simple defensive approach allows players to play fast, it also limits their ability to evolve. Patricia acknowledged Pittsburgh's competitiveness but took a subtle jab, noting that his Patriots teams always found a way to beat them in key games, reflecting the mutual respect and rivalry between the two sides. There is some evidential truth to what Edelman and Patricia say. Despite a roster full of talent, the defense continues to struggle, repeatedly falling victim to the same weaknesses. The soft coverage scheme, where defenders play too far off receivers, has allowed opposing offenses to easily move the ball. Never finishing low enough to have a strong draft pick and not being able to make significant progress in the playoffs leaves the Steelers in a cyclical state of middle ground territory, which one could argue is one of the worst positions in the league. Patrick Queen replaces Roquan Smith at the Pro Bowl games. The NFL has named Steelers linebacker Patrick Queen as a replacement player for the Pro Bowl games. He replaces Ravens linebacker Roquan Smith, his former teammate. Queen, who signed with the Steelers as an unrestricted free agent during the 2024 offseason, started all 17 games and the playoff game at inside linebacker. He finished the season with a team-high 129 tackles, which are the 5th most in a season by a Steelers defender since 1994, while adding 7 passes defensed, 6 tackles for loss, 2 forced fumbles, 1 sack and 1 fumble recovery. Queen also was selected for the Pro Bowl games in 2023 while with the Ravens. He joins a host of Steelers in Orlando this week. Kicker Chris Boswell, safety Minkah Fitzpatrick, defensive tackle Cameron Hayward and linebacker TJ Watt were voted in as starters. Special teams ace Miles Killebrew, guard Isaac Sumalo, and quarterback Russell Wilson were named as replacements. Russell Wilson further linked to Raiders by ex-Pete Carroll assistant. After the 2024 NFL season came to an end, it looked like Russell Wilson would probably re-sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers as their next starting quarterback, at least until Pete Carroll was hired by the Las Vegas Raiders. Suddenly, the Raiders, who haven't had a long-term starting quarterback since they drafted Derek Carr out of Fresno State in the 2nd round of the 2014 NFL Draft, had a ready-made quarterback lined up with extensive experience playing under their new coach at 36. He could actually stick around for a little while, allowing the team to draft a new quarterback and develop him into the future with no real pressure to see the field as a rookie. Now granted, when it comes to NFL rumors in January, fans pretty much have to take any piece of information they receive with a grain of salt, right? Certainly, but in his 2025 NFL free agency primer for ESPN, Matt Bowen provided a very interesting piece of information from ESPN senior NFL reporter Jeremy Fowler, who has talked to former Carroll assistants who believe a reunion is possible, if not likely. Is a reunion with Pete Carroll, now Las Vegas head coach, really viable? Two ex-Carroll assistants believe they can coexist, with one taking it as far as predicting that Wilson will sign there, adding that the two rekindled their relationship a little over a year ago after a rocky ending to Seattle. Fowler wrote, "I think both would be open to it, especially with this QB class the way it is," another ex-Carroll coach said. The Raiders' plans are uncertain, but this at least seems like a possibility. Interesting stuff, right? Well, it actually might get even more so for Raider Nation, as Bowen believes that there might not be a particularly robust market for Wilson's services, listing him as the 42nd ranked free agent in this year's class. In 11 starts for the Steelers, Wilson completed 63.7% of his throws for 2,482 yards and 16 touchdowns, registering a QBR of 51.4, 22nd, Bowen wrote. He can still throw with pace and touch downfield, and he would benefit from a system that's heavy in play action. But with his reduced mobility, Wilson isn't a creator outside of structure at this stage of his career. Alright, so is Wilson that low on Bowen's list because he's a somewhat diminished player, or because there really isn't that big of a market for his services, with the Raiders and Steelers likely competing for his services one-on-one? Still, considering Tom Brady is leading the way in Las Vegas, and he knows a thing or two about playing quarterback on the wrong side of 35 as well as anyone else, the Raiders might be able to put together an offer that's enticing enough to lure the former Seahawk to Nevada for another shot as a Super Bowl trophy. And are you a fan? What do you think of Russell Wilson's exit? Leave your opinion in the comments.